Hello YouTube, it's September 2025 and the following series of videos will be overviews and demonstrations of my mini siren family as I have them now since I started working on these in February. Each one of the three here you'll see, I'll give you a little demo. I'll take the hoods off so you can see underneath what's going on inside and maybe even give you a little design philosophy for why I made the choices that I did. The siren that we're going to focus on in this video, the Mini P10. So we've taken the cover off of the Mini P10, and what I'm going to do now is I will take you through it step by step and demonstrate, or I should say illustrate what each part is. So the first thing we will do is that we'll zoom in and we'll focus down there. Those are my collector rings and brush assembly. The brush assembly is actually just some tin copper wire hooked up around some door return springs, and then the actual rings themselves are made out of brass strips that I found at Fleet Farm in their hobby section. Coming up there, that's a 390 motor with dual shaft, and if you see the screws that are mounting the motor, that is my positioning system here. I don't have anything long enough to reach over there, but like you see the screws, like these screws right there, and then those screws right down there, those are, and then there's another set on the other side that you can't see. They are there for me to position the rotor assembly with all degrees of freedom, and I can do that and not have to worry too much about getting holes or other things exactly precise, so that I can have relatively good clearance on all sides. And then we will head over to the electronics section. I have two of these little power regulators running in parallel with each other because one on its own is not enough to power the motor. It gets very, very hot when it does it. So obviously I want these things to last. I have two running in parallel. They're both calibrated to output the exact same voltage, and ironically the voltage that the motor needs to work is exactly 3 volts to spin it with load at siren speed. And then that blue thing at the top there, my finger is pointing to, that is the secret to a very long wind down on these little tiny quarter scale sirens. That is a 10 farad super capacitor, and all of my sirens now that have or will be having choppers, or I should say all sirens, the choppers will be utilizing these gadgets in various farad sizes to enable me to get a wind down, because rather than generate enough weight to get a wind down, let me spin this forward here. You can kind of see the chopper inside. Unfortunately, I can't get too much lower. Or to say, I keep calling it the chopper. The chopper is the stator. I'm calling it the impeller of the rotor. You can kind of see it in there. But I'm doing the counterintuitive thing with these projects now, and I'm printing these as light as I can absolutely get them. And this one in the P10 I think weighs like 65 grams. And by minimizing the weight, I minimize the pain in the butt that it can be to get one of these things balanced. And you can also see what looks like holes along the outside of it. That is actually for balancing. What I can do now is that I can put little tiny M2 screws in there, spin it up and see how it affects balance, and then move the screws around as need be so that I get good balance. And so now this thing does not shake or rub anymore like it did in the previous videos that you saw with it. And then that is the mechanics for my rotator. It's just a little axle worm gear assembly, and it comes down through the frame and underneath. And so then here is the underside. Unlike the real P10 that uses a chain, this just uses a very stiff rubber band to do the rotation, and it also serves as a clutch too. I can spin it around and I don't have to worry about breaking something. It will do it on its own. And then coming up, there's another power box that I have on here. I have two sets of power regulation that goes on here. And this box you see here is the initial power regulation. I take 12 volts in, and right now I'm stepping it down to 6 volts. But what's interesting about this power box is that the power box has current limiting capabilities, and one thing that I have to do with this little Mini P10 is that I really have to be careful about this 10 farad supercapacitor, because if I just give it 12 volts straight, what winds up happening is that these little two power regulators will blow up because it's just too much current for them to handle, and these don't have any kind of overcurrent protection. And so on startup, this little box here, what's inside of here, it limits the inrush to about 2 amps. It's not an elegant or really proper solution, but for now it'll work. And actually what I want to do in the future is I want to try a resistor and diode setup on this super cap so that I resist going in but then come out through the diode and give it full power to the motor. And I only need like a 2 ohm resistor, but unfortunately I have First Saturday coming up, and so I did not have enough time to get that because one of my Amazon shipments got delayed. And there's another look at those beautiful, beautiful ring assemblies. And as you will see, when I run this in alert, the pitch wavering problem no longer exists, and that's one of the goals of putting the power regulation inboard on the siren itself, was so that anything past here does not get to the motor, because it will be regulated out by that. Here we go. And we are wound down. So when it comes to mini siren designing, so far the P10 has proven to have the most teething problems, but I think at this point I've got the kinks ironed out of it, and aside from the one change that I said that I was going to do, where I wanted to get rid of that first power box, but I can't do that right now because of the fact that my Amazon shipment got delayed, and I have First Saturday coming up. So this is still this is enough. It's come along enough, and I'm happy with my ability to put it together, that someone else can put it together now too. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that this is a finalized design, and I have to figure out how to get this onto something like Printable, so that if you want to make one for yourself, you can just download the files and go for it. But anyways, in the meantime, that's all for this video. So thank you for watching. Please like, please comment, please subscribe.